So by now you would have watched the video, and I really like how she talks about those mental shortcuts that we create, and we end up just hiring people who remind us so much of ourselves. And we need to be careful of those biases that we have and create that awareness too. So on the screen you have just a graph about the diversity gap in 2019, and this is from Academic Women's Association of Alberta. And they do this every year, so you might want to go check out their website as well. And so this is from Canadian U15 universities in particular, and it goes through board chairs all the way to deans. And so the light green represents white men, red represents white women, the purple represents visible minority men, orange is visible minority women, the dark green is Indigenous men, and the yellow is Indigenous women as well. So just take a moment to reflect and look at this graph. What do you notice? Right, there's lots of light green, there's lots of red, there's not very many purple or orange, and there's no yellow whatsoever at all when we think about this too. And so really, there's a great article that's attached at the resources at the end, and the title is that despite 33 years of equity initiatives, university leadership is largely white and male, and we can just see that reflected in 2019 stats as well. So we know what we've been doing in the past hasn't been working. We have to do something different. We have to move that needle as well. So do you think that bias can potentially play a role in these numbers? And also think about too, what is missing here? So there's no persons with disabilities, there's no other sexual orientations, and when we think about it, gender is also defined in binary terms. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we know that as well. So I'm going to play a quick game with you, and so it's a call-out activity. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to encourage you just to shout this out in your office, or if you're at home watching this as well. And so I'm going to call out a word, and if that word is associated with male or liberal arts, just call left. And if it's associated with female or science, call right. And I want you to call it like really quickly. Don't even think about it. Just call left or right. So again, left is male or liberal arts, right is female or science. So here I go. Father, engineering, music, daughter, uncle, math, girl, literature, husband, physics. All right, what did you notice there? I know I can't really connect with you right now because this is pre-recorded, but when I do this in person, inevitably you'll have someone who's calling out a word that belongs in the wrong category as well. And so for myself, I'll share personally, whenever I see physics, I just think it goes left. Like I just feels like it belongs in that category as well. And so what I've noticed when I do this in person is individuals may call left for categories of science. Their brain, it's difficult to put it on the right side as well. This is really just a quick example of the implicit association test, which I have links to at the end of the slides as well. This is a free test, and there's different categories that you can take, and I really encourage individuals to explore their different biases that they have by taking these different tests. I do so a few times a year because you can see when you have to make a quick decision and not even think, you revert to those categories that you've created in your mind. So when we think of bias, I like this acronym. So it's beliefs that we have, ideas that we hold, and assumptions that we make about other individuals and stories we tell ourselves. As human beings, we're meaning-making people. So biases are the tendency to also favor a group over another, and they can be favorable or unfavorable, unconscious, so implicit or unintentional, or conscious, explicit or intentional as well. And we think of, scientists estimate that we're bombarded with as many as 11 million pieces of information throughout our day. And so to conserve energy and time, we rely on the mental shortcuts that we have developed based on our culture, our experiences, our gender, the media, how we grew up as well. And we're all vulnerable to the habits of our mind too. So as human beings, we see age, we see ability, we see gender, and we see skin color, and we have associations based on these categories. And we use these categories to make judgments as well. So an individual exhibiting implicit bias may have absolutely no intention to harm someone else or to be discriminatory. However, the results of these biases can be damaging no matter what the intent is. Unintentional bias towards an individual or group does not diminish the effect of that bias as well. And also thinking about, we can have our biases too, and they can fly in the face of our explicitly held beliefs. So how I feel, how I am, and then when I take an implicit association test, the results might be different, and there's a kind of disconnect there too. Because we think in those binary good or bad terms, we have to recognize that as human beings, we all have biases too. And so that's why I'm excited that everyone is taking this who's involved in the search process as well. But also think about, how does implicit bias affect patient care? We are in health sciences after all. And so this is a great article from Ed Goose et al. On how to identify, understand, and then unlearn implicit bias in patient care decisions. Because in terms of this, it can be the unconscious collection of stereotypes and attitudes we develop towards certain groups of people, which can affect patient relationships and care decisions as well. So what do you think activates our biases? There are 4 key conditions, and it's not how I grew up or the media, etc. as well, but there are 4 key conditions as well. So they are stress, time constraints, multitasking, and a need for closure. So you can imagine, especially in the search process, we need to get the position filled. There's too much work we have to do, and we need to get this done quickly. And so it might be multitasking, going from meeting to meeting, how we can revert back to the associations, those mental shortcuts we've created in our head as well. So we have to be aware that these key conditions can activate our biases as well. But we do know if we can recognize and manage our biases, we can ensure our hiring processes are fair and more diverse faculty and staff are hired as well. So this is another video that I encourage you to go to. It's the second link, and it's implicit bias, snacks and punishments as well. And this is a video from PBS, and it's just about 2 minutes long. So just pause and look at the video.